Hello, we are Team 9. This is Murphy's organizational analysis for our case competition presentation. Oh, I am Christian Henderson.
Alejandra Cordoba.
Are you Gupta?
Julia Garza.
And Paulina Verdugo.
Beginning with Murphy's predicament, as you know from the case study, his proposals were being blocked, tensions between production and sales, and he was fired for vocalizing his perspective. Starting with the macro analysis, Biscuit & Co. is traditionally production-oriented, which counters Murphy's strong desire for change and his market-driven mentality. This causes a strategic misalignment within the company due to corporate control and hindering innovation, leading to decision-making, which is centralized around the boss Eastern, destroying autonomy. And with the meso and micro analysis, from the meso perspective, we have poor cross-functional coordination with the market segment in Biscuit & Co. and John Eastern's upper division area. Each of them are prioritizing their own goals, hindering communication of both, and this also destroys psychological safety, especially for Murphy. With the microanalysis, Murphy is much more innovative and he's change-oriented, whereas his boss is very authoritative. This causes Murphy to feel powerless and Eastern feeling threatened. Now, moving on to Arya.
Now we'll focus on the three strategies Murphy should have used to lead organizational change at Biscuit & Co. The first one being shifting the culture toward market responsiveness. The biggest barrier, as we know, is cultural. Biscuit & Co. has long prioritized cost control over understanding the market. Using Sheen's model, the deeper assumption is that marketing doesn't add value. Murphy can start leveraging early product wins and retailer feedback to show that innovation actually drives demand. These values are reinforced through hiring, training, and recognition so that the mindset spreads beyond marketing. Rewards must reflect collaboration and customer focus, linking the change to the company's legacy, preserves the psychological contract for long-tenured employees, reducing fear and resistance. Moving on to the second strategy, strengthening leadership alignment with Eastern. So the second issue is leadership misalignment. Murphy and Eastern have a weak leader-member exchange relationship, so this means that low trust and communication will produce inconsistent signals. But improving communication and clarifying roles builds trust and cooperation. Involving Eastern in major decisions also gives him ownership and reduces defensiveness, and CEO Sutherland's visible support reinforces urgency and alignment. Focusing on behaviors instead of personality can keep the conflict productive. Moving on to the last strategy, creating cross-functional interdependence. The damaging issue in daily operations is the divide between operations and finance and sales and marketing. This is where priorities, conflict, and collaboration breaks down. Organizational behavior research shows structured interdependence restores teamwork. This can be achieved by setting shared goals, linking metrics across departments, and forming cross-functional teams to coordinate production with market needs. It keeps focus on shared objectives and reassures employees that the change supports the company's future and long-term job stability. Passing it over to Julia.
Now I'll be addressing tensions between operations and sales. So we saw that the conflict was that operations and sales at Biscuit & Co. had different priorities that led to an ongoing conflict and poor communication. Operations was focused on cost control and consistency, while sales is focused on flexibility, customer needs, and fast adjustment to changes. Some possible solutions would be establishing clear communication, help both departments understand each other's goals, and communicate with integrity. Next is encourage cross-training, hold shared discussions where both operations and sales could discuss their challenges together. This allows both of them to connect and depend on each other. Next would be promote a one-team mindset. Remind employees that they're all working under the same company goal, which is satisfying the customers. And last, encourage change in the company's culture. So shift from a more control mindset to a more collaborative mindset. And moving on to initiating change in organizational conflict, we saw that employees were divided and didn't understand why changes were happening, and this made it hard for Murphy to move forward. So some possible solutions would be creating a clear and fair game plan, talk to both departments, listen to their concerns, and help them agree on a plan that works for both sides. Next would be involve both groups in shaping the change. So let all parties be involved in helping design new ideas. And this creates a more support system and rather than fighting it, and this helps reduce division. Last is lead with empathy during change. It's important to understand and recognize that this can change. Gosh, I'm so sorry. Next, we'll be talking about lead with empathy during change. It's important to understand and recognize that change could be hard for anyone involved. So let employees know that their worries are valid, recognize that change could be stressful, and adjust approach to support different needs of employees. And lastly, build trust to help smoothen the change process and reduce conflict. Passing it to Paulina.
Right. Initiating change if your boss is against the idea. I want to walk through what it takes to actually create change when the person blocking you is your own boss. The first step is simply recognizing the sabotage. That means being honest about the fact that your boss's behavior, whether that is avoiding decisions, reinforcing outdated practices, or simply rejecting the new ideas. Once you see that clearly, the next move is to act quickly and strategically. You almost have to create a new structure around the problem. Bring in the right people, reshape responsibilities, and build momentum before resistance can shut things down completely. But sometimes that isn't enough. In those cases, you need to seek endorsement from higher up. By pushing forward with well designed, high impact initiatives, you force the higher leadership to make a decision. And often they'll support the change if the strategy is strong enough. Finally, it is tough to accept, but taking this route usually impacts the relationship with your boss. But if the goal is real organizational improvement, you may have to prioritize the bigger picture over personal relationships. Moving on to evaluating Murphy's efforts. When we look at Murphy's efforts at Biscuit and Co., it is clear that he was strategically very successful. He pushed the company to pay attention to the market, the competitors, and to growth opportunities. In many ways, he moved the business towards growth and success. But things fell apart because Murphy didn't build strong relationships. He didn't manage to shape an organizational culture that could actually support the changes he was driving. People didn't trust him, they didn't feel connected to him, and they didn't see themselves as part of the business he was trying to build. Organizational culture isn't just a soft factor, it's a structural force. If the culture doesn't support the change, then even the smartest strategy will struggle to take hold. Murphy changed the strategy, but he didn't change the culture, and the culture ended up pushing back. Now moving on to Alejandra.
Key qualities of a successful change agent would include emotional intelligence and empathy, credibility and expertise, and strong communication and team building skills. Entering a workplace that has strong traditions and long-tenured employees can be difficult, but being able to build that trust, listen actively, and show sensitivity to your employees can help reduce that resistance and help foster cooperation within the company. Credibility and expertise. Usually, people want someone that is perceived as competent and trustworthy. Murphy's marketing expertise gives him that initial credibility, and it definitely helps gain that trust from his employees. And maintaining it definitely requires demonstrating that consistency between words and actions. And employees are most likely to follow change when they believe the leader has both the knowledge and the integrity, but also the emotional intelligence and the empathy to guide them through that process. And strong communication and team building skills, effective change occurs when leaders have built strong interdependent teams that have shared goals and open communication with one another. Tension between marketing and operations definitely highlights the need for cross-functional communication, which a successful change agent can help unite those silos by promoting mutual understanding and aligning the departmental goals with the company's visions and values. Overall, our key takeaways for the analysis of Business and Co. focus on shifting the culture toward market responsiveness, strengthening that leadership alignment with Eastern, his boss, and creating those cross-functional interdependence teams and being able to establish that clear communication within those teams. But overall, being able to lead with empathy and making sure that everyone's voices and opinions are heard and that they feel then more than just a simple employee to the company, but a strong component to its success. Thank you so much.